All right, guys. Listen, we're 0-2, but this is not cause for concern. We're gonna be all right. We started off this way last year, and we went on an 8-game winning streak. So, but the fact is, this first week of region, so we gotta bring it. But anyway, I come up with God give me a Bible verse, and it's Proverbs 24 verse 10. It says, "If you falter in time of trouble, how small is your strength?" Well, let's go out there Friday night, and let's go out there and show these boys from Red Boiling Springs how big our strength really is. Because, I mean, this is region week, first region game. It counts now. This is a game that counts. If you guys want to make the playoffs, it starts right here and right now. You can't, and with adversity, you guys have faced a little adversity, as all teams will. But the bottom line is, you got to get out there and you got to show these fans how much strength you got, because that's what it's all about. You got to get out there and you got to show your strength. And that reminds me of adversity. You know, I used to be a pool player, and I played pool for a good 15 years at least. And there was a stretch there where I went about 350 days without an actual win. And when you're actually going in, when you're going to any kind of battle, I don't care if it's pool or if it's football or basketball or volleyball, or I don't care what you're playing, your object's to win. And when you show up, it's all about winning. So I mean, 350 days without a win, that's a lot of adversity. But finally, I got it in my mind. I said, you know what? I'm not taking this no more. I'm going into battle tomorrow night, and I'm going to win me a tournament. So I go in there, and I win me a tournament. The point I'm trying to make is, you guys are 0-2. Somebody's going to have to step up and make a play and say, I've had enough of this. It's time for me to go out here and get me a win and win this region game and take this football game over. And I think you guys got exactly what it takes. So go Big Blue. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
All right, coming to you live from Hickman, Tennessee in Studio G. It's week 3. I'm Rusty B.
And this is Paul Martin, and you're in the huddle. Hut, hut.
Hut. All right. Well, Paul, not a bad week last week with Smith County. Got some good things to talk about that. A few.
Right.
It was a little loss, but positive.
Right.
We got who we got coming up next week? This week, Friday night. This Friday night. Red Boiling Springs. You've been studying up on them a little bit.
I have.
And we're also going to talk a little more about this junior high.
Right.
And junior high, what are they now? 2-1.
They're 2-1, and
took one on the chin.
And talking about this week, our theme is kind of talking a little bit about adversity, and when you talk about adversity, both our teams took a loss this week. So Rusty, as far as and a good adversity speech, what kind of advice do you give the junior high? I mean, they got this week off. And they're going to play again next Thursday, not this one, but the next. But how do you rebound if you took your first loss as a junior high team? How do you rebound and face your adversity and go in there and win that Watertown game?
Well, hey, I never liked to lose. It doesn't matter what I was doing or what. I hated to lose. I absolutely hate it. But you know what? When you lose, especially in a sport like football, if you lose at checkers, it's one thing because there's not really a lot of practice you can do at checkers. You lose at football, hey, you can get out there on the practice field and you can work toward redemption. And that's what as a coach, that's what actually develops young people into young men and gives them a good character is the practice field, and that's where they're going to develop. And it's not on a Friday night. What you do all week and how you practice will translate into what you do. Game, right. So if they go out there hard, that's how you face adversity. Is you work hard, and it makes it harder to quit on a Friday night, harder to give up. And it as far as losing, they got beat by what? 2 points, junior high.
24-18.
24-18. So a touchdown. A touchdown. There you go, a touchdown. They beat Monterey by 2 points. That's what I was thinking.
The way I understand it, because one of the junior high kids actually come to me last Friday and told me how it went down. He said,
we had a young man. First time we had a young man that's one of our better athletes get hurt right before the half, right as the half ended, I think, and that really it sets you back because you got to put a new kid that, junior high, they don't give 3 hours a week practice, They have been going some in the summer to practice and all that, and that's good. But they can't really get into pads and all this stuff until the fall.
But
and 3 hours a week.
What I was told though, just to let y'all know, the score was 18 to maybe 12 or something, and then we had come back and tied it up like 18 to 18, and then they went down and they scored and took a 24 to 18 lead on us. And then we're driving, and we get down to their 10-yard line with 5 seconds on the clock. And Salina brings a bull rush, and the quarterback's under intense heat, and he just throws one up, throws up a prayer, and it gets batted down or intercepted or whatever. But let's get that Oompa Loompa in there. The kids want to run that exciting play we draw up. The Oompa Loompa. They're itching to run that play, Coach Petty.
I think within that 3 hour time frame, it's going to be hard for them kids to actually learn the Oompa Loompa. But maybe Petty will get it in there and see what he can do with it. Because I think it's a great play. I think it'll work. I mean, you get a kid doing, my phone's going off, but don't panic, Paul. This is showtime. No distractions.
We'll try.
You want me to get that?
Nah.
Let me go ahead and get okay.
But we'll try to get the old Oompa Loompa in there. Really, all it is reverse and the quarterback run the other way, and of course, for more than anything, it's just something to get the kids excited and pumped up. And get old Mighty Martin excited at the game too.
You might want to save that play for when you just really need it. You know what I mean? That might be one of them.
But anyhow, that play's the special play.
But one of them trick plays you pull out in desperation.
For special occasions.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
But anyhow, do you have the photos of the fans of the week? Because they are. I don't have them. Junior high kids.
Yeah, a couple more fans of the week on junior high. We'll talk about that here in a little while. I don't have that uploaded yet, but I'm gonna get that.
He's going to get that for you guys a little bit later on.
That's right. I'll get them.
Anyway, I'm going to tell you who they are anyway, even though he ain't got it.
Go ahead and ruin the surprise.
Fans of the week, don't ruin the surprise.
No, go ahead and ruin it.
No, you don't want me to tell it just yet, right?
Well, you can go ahead. I mean, I know it's killing you. That's all you've talked about since you got here.
Well, the fans of the week this week, whenever he uploads it, it will be Dalton Dillard, which is Amanda Dillard and Josh Dillard's boy.
Yeah.
Credit to them for raising a great kid. He's a great kid, like the kid. And then Drew Agee, once again, credit to Butch for raising a good kid too.
He's back in. He just can't stay out of the picture with you, Paul.
Those kids are awesome kids, and they're big fans, and they'll like our show. And
I got to think about that. I said, Paul. Paul has got 2 new heroes, and you think maybe you're their hero or they your heroes?
Well,
because the way it seems, they're your heroes, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, they look up to me, but I tell you, I got a hero, and I like to. Well, can I tell the story now, or would it be better if I save that for the high school team?
Hey, it's whatever you want to do. I don't know what story you about to tell. So
the one about my hero that I went over and seen the other day, and
that
hero. Should I tell it now, or
that is a good little
you
story.
Got that picture? Can you get
I don't have none of that uploaded yet. I was planning on doing that in the next segment, but that's fine.
All right,
it's up.
We'll do that next.
We can save that, so we'll save that coming up.
That and the pictures of Drew and Dalton for the next.
So our junior high 2-1 now.
2-1, right?
Got beat by who? Salina. Is that right?
Yes, Salina.
So that's
24-18.
3 years in a row they've beat us. Is that what that is? Yeah, I talked to Coach Petty. He's pretty heartbroken over that because he thought they had them, and
right.
I know what he was about to dial up if they didn't make it to overtime or whatever. He was going to hit them with the old shuffle pass, whatever you want to call it. He was going to hit them with it, wasn't
he? Yeah, probably.
That's it. He's notorious for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Paul, who's the junior high got? You said next Thursday.
They got Watertown a week from Thursday.
Homer at Gordonsville. So put your blue on Thursday night.
Support, and I already told Coach Petty that if
next Thursday, not this Thursday.
I told Coach Petty that if I missed the bonfire and he'd be okay with that, I'd come watch the Watertown game. So next
we'll
Thursday,
have to show up.
So next Thursday, Paul Martin and I don't know if Rusty.
I'll go.
Paul Martin, Rusty Burton, and anybody else that ain't got nothing to do, y'all come on down and support these young men.
The good Lord's willing, I'll be there.
All right.
But
come support these young men. And
all right.
And you won't be disappointed. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get my words together.
That's right. Paul gets stumbled up.
I do.
Well, Paul, we went last night. We watched.
We went over and watched.
Tell them what we did on that. We got a couple minutes here.
We went over and watched the B team,
the JV
football team, and we watched a pretty good game over there.
It wasn't a bad game.
Our B team really hit some people and made some plays, and I mean they got beat, but the effort was there, and I was proud of the effort.
What was his final score? Like 3-2, 18-12. No extra points.
County, but
they hit us what? 3 touchdowns in a row. Three plays. They hit the deep ball on us.
Right, but then we bounced back.
And bounced back.
We got us a couple scores on the road.
That's right. But they hit 3 in a row, and then, it was really, I guess, maybe almost the same play that they hit us on twice in a row, I know.
And we got some good news. More than likely, I'm not going to say it's 100%, but more than likely the Skyshon Washer kid will return this week because he looked good in the B team game and he got some work in. And I wouldn't be as surprised to see him return Friday.
Friday night, you'll see he'll slowly get back into things, and
but you may see the return of the Skyshon Washer.
He'll be an asset to this football team, to the high school team. I promise.
He may make his debut Friday night for this season.
You slowly work when kids come off of something like that, when they've been injured or whatever, and had a little scare, then you slowly work them back into it. And I think it was an issue maybe with his heart or something, is what I've heard. So maybe he'll come out, and it's good because, Paul, I know what it's like to be able to told you're not going to be able to play again, and then to be able to come out. It really tells you what football means to you, and you realize how much it means to you.
Right.
So maybe that kid will come out, and he'll have a new outlook on everything and be ready to go.
And another kid that stood out and played really hard, Chris Welsh. The kid come in there and run the ball hard for us.
Welsh did run the ball hard.
He actually caught a trick play on the last play of the game, our second touchdown. We dialed up a halfback pass, and Skyshon Washer fires it down the field to Chris Welsh, wide open, and he is in the end zone.
That's right.
And before that, he didn't score, but he did have about a 30 yard run, almost scoring on another run.
And it was
he played hard.
The running style, and I've always said this right here too. And Paul, you can write this down and take it to the bank. I've said this about pool, and I've said it about other sports. All right, I'm gonna say this: when I watched Welsh running yesterday, his running style reminded me of 28 Givens on Friday night, because he would lower the shoulder and run over somebody. Now listen, when you play pool, you'll see towns across this country, and just say Manchester. We'll take Manchester for example, and you got that. We got a buddy down there, Jonathan Hennessy, who is an excellent pool player.
Right.
And he started and learned the game from. Well, there was a bigger guy down there. You remember him?
You talk about Billy Young?
No, Billy was from that area. But what I'm saying is there was another guy, and he's actually who taught Hennessy to play pool.
That bigger guy you're talking about?
Yeah, and I can't remember his name, but
Billy Young,
regardless, he's an older guy, and he goes these professional tournaments once a year. He'll go to the Music City and play, and then he won't play anywhere else, and he always finishes high.
Was it Shannon Dalton?
No, it wasn't him. It's nobody you're going to hear of. I cannot think of that guy's name, but I'll have to look it up. But my point here is, when you get a guy, okay, and he practices every day. This is how Hennessy got good at pool. He's watching this guy play pool, all right, and he's practicing against him and playing against him every day, and he's getting better, and he's playing more like him, and then he gets better, and then you got these guys now that have come up and they're playing against Hennessy every day playing pool, and like you take Nick Hickerson, he's played him every day, and all those guys, they watch him play.
What's that other?
And Billy Young was from that area.
Josh O'Neal, does he play him all the time too?
Yeah, I mean they were competing all the time against each other, and you learn if you want to learn to do something well, you find somebody that does it well, and you practice against them and play against them.
I will totally agree with that, because the last time you and I got on a table together, you really brought my game to the next level, and it works that way when you're playing somebody better than you.
That's right, and it's
you
all
pretty much have to get up to their level or fall in the sunset, you might say.
And on the same token, you can give old Floyd Mayweather's sparring partner a lot of credit, because Floyd didn't get good boxing nobody. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way the world works.
And Chris Welsh's sparring partner, you might say, was Braxton Gibbons.
Well, he's got somebody to actually
practice against this guy.
He's got somebody to mimic and watch and do exactly as he does, because he's good at it. And when we talk about senior leadership, even though Braxton's just a junior, I think Welsh is a junior also.
Yeah.
Even though they're in the same class, I can tell that Welsh has really been paying attention to Braxton running, because, and that's how it works. Just because of the way he was running yesterday.
These kids are juniors, but you might as well say they're seniors, because
they are leaders.
Senior, they are the leader.
Braxton started last season. He started a little bit as a freshman,
so he's kind of taking on the leadership role as a junior.
Yeah, that's who people's watching. That's who set the bar, and Welsh knows that, and he's running like him, and that's great, because whenever we have to, we can't give Braxton the ball 30, 40 times a game and expect to go have a deep run.
Somebody like maybe a Dalton Stallings is also maybe trying to get his
the harder, if you look over, and you see your buddy busting his hind end
then it ought to bring something out of you too.
Then you're going to step up. That's right. So it starts with that, and them older guys have got to be the ones that step up and do that. And when they, and you don't have to go to the huddle and get on nobody's butt or whatever. It don't hurt. But what I'm saying is, good play rubs off on the people that are younger than you, and that helps the future of Gordonsville football. And that's why I was wanting to touch on that, because I seen a lot of Braxton yesterday when I was watching Welch. Not comparing apples to oranges. I'm just saying that one player, if you'll pay attention and you want to do something right, learn from somebody that knows how to do it.
And this can even it don't have to be offense either. This can carry over on defense too.
That's right.
One player on defense steps up and say makes a pick, or say sacks the quarterback, or gets a fumble recovery, or just whatever the case may be. That's going to carry over, and the next guy's going to say, "Well, I don't want you taking all the glory. I want a little bit too."
That's right. I can't give them all the glory. You got to get in there and get a little bit yourself.
Yeah, it's got to be a team effort.
That's right.
You can't have one man making all the tackles, or he gets all the stickers, and the rest of it's got a bare helmet.
He'll have a helmet full. And I don't think we do the stickers anymore. I think Smith County does. I've seen a couple of them with some on it.
Well, that might be an idea, Coach. Let's bring the stickers back and give us some inspiration, so we can get a helmet full of them pretty stickers on them.
Yeah, I like that aspect, but on the other hand, on some coaches say, that gives more. It leads more to individual play. But as I said, those individuals make up a team. You know what I'm saying? I see both sides of that.
It could spark some incitement though, getting you some stickers on your helmet though. It could be exactly what we need, because when you and I played, we fought our butt off for them stickers. If we didn't have no stickers, we wanted a sticker.
That's
we didn't care how we had to get it.
But you got team like if you're most of the time you'll get a team. If the team gets a win, everybody gets a sticker.
Yes,
team effort.
So
and if you got the team,
you get a shutout sticker.
That's right. There you go.
If you get the win, you
can carry it over.
And then a sack gets you a sack sticker.
You can carry that over.
So on. But
anyway, Paul, we're gonna hop off here and take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and talk about last week's game, which, as we said, goes down in the loss column. But lots of positives come out of that game. Lots of positives. And we'll be right back to talk about that. You're listening to In the Huddle.
You're listening in the Huddle. We'll be right back. Hud.
No, we're going ready, break. We're going on break, so we'll go ready, break.
Ready, break.
All right, break.
Hey, this is Paul. You reached In the Huddle.
Hey, man, Reno Bud here, man. Y'all remember me, man? I just calling in to tell y'all, man, good game last week against the Isles. Come up a little bit short, man, but good effort and stuff. I seen a good effort. Good hits being hit out there, man. Good hits. A lot of good fight. Think the season's going to start looking, and we're going to get some W. Get on the internet and get us some of them WWWs. Before long, man, we'll be able to find us on the internet. And you can't find a team that's that ain't got 3 W's on the internet. But anyway, man, I just called to tell you, gonna be a good rainy game. Friday night against the Red Boiling is well, they the Bulldogs, man, the Bulldogs, but they play more like poodles. Just ain't got much fight in them, you know. But I kind of like a Blue Heeler myself. If I was gonna rename my team, you know, the Blue Heelers is what I'd name the Red Boiling Springs Blue Heelers. But hey, we got a lot in common with them, man. I got a lot in common with the dog, with the Bulldog. My phone has caller ID, and so do they have a caller ID, you know, on their tag and stuff. But anyway, man, I heard that Bulldog up there one time was so dumb and just didn't get it, and he chased parked cars, man. That dog would chase a parked car. And you know, somebody told me one time, man, this old dog I got here, man, he can jump higher than a tree. And I thought, this guy's an idiot, man. He just dumber than the Bulldog, dumber than his dog, because everybody knows that a tree can't jump, you know. So of course, any dog can jump higher than a tree. I heard Paul talk about the bear, you know, talking about the bears up at Red Boiling Springs, man. I heard a bear had ate that Bulldog. And the owner of that Bulldog at the principal school up there said, well, doggone, you know. So Friday night, going to pull up in the parking lot down here at Turney Ford Field. And it's going to be what do you call a wet bear? A drizzly bear. So be prepared. You know, be prepared. Bring your umbrella, your boots, whatever you got, and put them on. And let's get back and get ready to watch some Gordonsville football. Think we're going to get a W on the board. Strike up the band. You know, finally got some points on the board last week, and I look forward to putting them on this week, man. Hey, I'm going to let you boys go. Got to get back to my show. I'll holler back at you. All right. Well, welcome back to In the Huddle. Paul took a break.
And I got some hot dog stuff on my
chili
shirt.
dog.
So if y'all wondering, you see something on my shirt, that's what it is. It's just some of the remnants of my hot dog I eat.
Yeah, a little bit of chili. I saw a little bit of chili about to drip down. I went and got him a fork, and dang if he didn't sling it everywhere with it. So
yeah,
he got a little bit excited with the fork.
So I'm a messy eater, but y'all bear with me. It'll be all right.
So anyway, break's over, Paul. Nap time. We took a little nap.
Yep.
You napped there on the couch a minute.
Yeah.
And anything come to you that you could add to the show before we get started on this Carthage segment? Was you dreaming about anything?
No, not really. I was just napping.
You napping? Well, let's talk about this Carthage game last week. Saw some bright spots.
We did.
Moved the football well. We did it on the ground. Through the air, we still didn't look great, but did complete a pass. You know, that helps.
We probably got about 27 yards passing, something like that. But when you got like 270 yards rushing or whatever we had.
I don't know how many we had. We had several.
It's
keep it on the ground. Yeah. Well, we can't. You don't want to give the kid the ball every play. You know, the I formation is something that's hard to stop. It either works or it don't. Run it till they stop it. That's my theory. I loved it. I love coming out and just pound it at them. And instead of 3 yards at a time like that used to work, with a good running back, we were getting, in a good line, we were getting what? 8-10 yard chunks, sometimes 20, sometimes 30.
Yeah.
Braxton was running hard.
And running over people.
I wish I had permission to show the clip, but he flattened one of them old owls. It was just like he got run over by a truck.
Right.
And, you know, and yards after carry, hey, that kid gets them. How many players touched him on that first?
7.
The one touch. I think it was the second touchdown, maybe.
7 players touched that kid, and he
7
went through
players.
all 7 of them.
And he was bouncing off of them and hitting them and running them over. And
that's what you like to see, that kind of determination.
Hey, we had some fight.
Where you're seeing the end zone, and you're saying, hey, I'm getting in there.
That's right. We had some fight in the offensive side of the ball, and we had a little bit in the defensive side. Swarming to the football, kids getting to the football.
Yeah, they stopped the sweep.
We stopped their run. You know, they probably had several rushing yards, but they still didn't excel there as well as they did in the passing game. And you got to hand it to Carthage over there. They had a good football team. And probably they're probably going to be one of the better. Them and Trousdale, I don't know a whole lot about Trousdale yet, but I've heard they're good. But them and Trousdale are probably going to be our two toughest opponents in the regular season.
And Joe Burns will be.
Joe Burns will be our region tester. That should be the championship. I think that game's played.
We can't forget. Well, that'll be about week 7, maybe somewhere.
I think ain't that our last game, or is it?
No, our last game against Salina, but it may be. Well, no, it won't be our last region game. Our last game of the year is going to be against Salina, but Joe Burns will probably be around week 7, maybe. Sounds about right. Week 7.
But that game right there, that's going to be a big region game for us.
But
Smith County is going back to that. They're probably going to be the toughest opponent that we face in the regular season. They had a good football team.
As far as receivers go, they will. But we know traditionally, though, Joe Burns is a physical football team. Smith County line up and hit you.
That's right. But Smith County had a big running back too. I mean, that kid. What was his name?
Bryant Gooseby. He's a good running back, and he turned it on against Macon County, and we didn't shut him down, but we slowed him down. And I think that was the goal. Their tight end, he's a good athlete too. He made a touchdown reception wide open back there. I don't know if somebody was out of place or what happened there, but that was they got some good athletes. They're loaded in the skill positions, and even their line, they had a big line. So anyway, we faced a good football team, and we did something that we didn't do against Watertown, and that's move the football. And put points on the board.
And that's a step in the right direction when it comes to football. You're getting ready to go into region play, and it gets important. But another thing against Smith County, we showed a lot of fight. And I know those rivalry games, you expect that, but that needs to carry over this week, even against a team like Red Boiling, who traditionally doesn't win a lot of football games. And I don't know that they've ever beaten us.
They haven't.
And we definitely don't want to lose that streak, and that streak will remain unless you don't show that fight. If you go out half dead, like, you just can't play football. It's just the way it is. Anything can happen. But the fight on offense was great. The fight on defense was great. I think one of the tallest orders of the night were our cornerbacks. We had Washer on one end and Ray on the other, and we got burnt deep a few times. But I promise, they're not the first players that's ever stepped on Gordonsville football field that's got burnt deep by a good receiver. And when you look at it,
and they won't be the last, probably.
They won't be the last. I can promise you. Somebody will get burned again before the season's over, and that's just the way it is. Now, you hope you correct those mistakes, but the thing is, those were two really good receivers, and
of course, you're always going to have your surprise plays game to game where they just catch you flat off guard, and you're not expecting a play.
Like Monterey last season.
They're behind you and they score.
Monterey last season, Jay Vaden, their lockdown corner, let one run by him, and they wound up right off the bat, first play of the game, 6 points. So that stuff happens, and you can expect it.
But you really ain't expecting a play action pass on the very first play of a game either, though.
That's true. But they had two good receivers, and they got behind us, and that's all you can say. We gave up some points that way. But looking forward, if we correct those mistakes against the caliber teams we're going to be playing, I don't think we're going to have any trouble in that area, if that makes sense, because those are probably the two best receivers we're going to face. Defensively, we got some work to do still. They're still trying to put everything together, and kids are in the right positions. And we didn't miss as many tackles. We did miss a few, but we didn't miss as many, and that's, like I said, a step in the right direction. We have any turnovers. We got one interception. Ray fought that kid over that interception like it was a I don't know, like two fat kids at a McDonald's fighting over the last nugget, in the Happy Meal. And he come up with it. And I honestly, just looking at that, I don't think the ball was. He didn't have his hands on the ball until after the kid had already got it, which means he took it from him. You know what I'm saying?
So really, instead of an interception,
well, it goes down as an interception.
It was probably more so catch, and then he took it from him, which was a strip, you might say.
Well, essentially, he stripped him. But regardless, when that ball's in the air, it'll go down as an interception. But any time that the offense has the football, the defense does have the opportunity to take it from him. So learn from that kid. Go for the football, because you never know.
I mean, you get a kid in the pile. You get a kid in the pile. Just hold him up and start swiping. You might swipe the ball loose from some of these guys if you start swiping.
Hey, turnovers are key to victory in a lot of games, and we needed a turnover the other night, and we got one, and we needed a couple more. And I think if we'd got a couple more,
been a whole different ball game.
It could have been a different ball game.
But that's something.
Regardless,
that's something we really
we had a couple turnovers, which offset ours. So that really, we threw an interception.
That's something we really want to see coming up this week. Coming up, we want to see our kids go out there and fight and take the ball from them and get some turnovers.
That's right.
And make something happen.
You got to fight if you want to win football games. It's all heart. It's not. A lot of times you can have all the speed and talent in the world, and it don't do any good if you don't apply your will. You impose your will on that. You see what I'm saying? And that's something you do. You impose your will on things on the football field. Nobody can go out there and play for you, and that's what them kids need to understand. You do what you got to do to succeed, and you don't sit back. If you got to make a tackle, you don't sit back and let them come to you and then tackle them. You go attack. That's right.
Go attack. We both agree on that.
That's right. You impose your will on that, and just like you take Braxton running the football, he imposes his will on the defense because he's going to run over you.
Right.
And until somebody steps up and says, I'm going to run over him back, then he's going to win that 100% of the time. He's going to run across the linebacker maybe sometime and just say, you know what, I'm going to hit this kid. And then whoever wants it the most is going to win that battle. And that's football. And he's going to beat you 100% of the time until you determine, get it in your head that you're going to run over him. And it's called imposing your will. And that's exactly what Ray did. He said, I'm getting this football. And he got it. And if kids will do that more often than not, they'll succeed.
Yeah, you've got to get to the point where you want that football more than you want to breathe.
Yeah, that essentially, if he had a receiver run by him and catch football and go for a touchdown, well, the greatest redemption is to turn around and take the football from him when you get a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that kid was a good receiver. Go get the football. That's anybody's ball. It don't matter. Even the kids running with it down the field, that could be your football. Go get it. And anyway, I think all in all, we come out of Carthage. We're 0-2, but my head's a little bit higher because I was proud of the effort. And I've always had this rule that when the Tigers quit, I told you this the other night. When the Tigers quit on the football field, what does Rusty do?
But that's not always true because you didn't leave the first week.
They didn't really quit. I don't think they ever got started. Right? they never really got started.
So in other words, you're saying if
when they're in the football game, we got behind.
We start a game and then we just lay down, then you've had enough.
When they quit, I quit. And you can tell when they quit. They were, even against Watertown, they were still playing football. They just were lollygagging and just, they hadn't really quit. They just never got going. And couldn't get anything together, and it's hard.
There's a difference in never getting going and just quitting.
I think we just wore down. I think we just wore down defensively against Watertown because we were on the field 3 out of 4 quarters.
If you see these kids just quit right in the middle of a game, you've had.
I'm quitting. If I see them quit, I'm going home. But you know what I say? I can't remember a time I've left Turney Ford Field by watching the Tigers just quit. We had some instances where we've been beat and we known it. But they never quit. You know what I'm saying? The starter's still going at it and still going hard. And that's what I like to see as a fan. That's what I expect as a former player. I expect to see that because I've been through it and I know
you know that the dedication and the work and all that you put in it, you don't put it in to get on Friday night
and
lay
quit.
down and quit.
That's right. So I didn't see them quit. They played to the last whistle, and
I didn't see quit either on the field.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a step in the right direction. Also, the effort, I think it was there, and we got outscored by essentially a better football team. You hate to say that, your rival was a better football team than you, but they had a lot of talent. Not making excuses, we got a lot of talent too.
But we were kind of outmatched in a way.
Yeah, I think the game, the flow of the game at a passing game is you can be more explosive than the flow of a good running game, if that makes sense. Yeah. And the turnover, we had a turnover there, an interception, and that put us 2 touchdowns behind, which was the start of it rolling downhill. And we still battled back and scored points. Right. So they were still playing football.
9 times out of 10, if you're trying to be a running team, though, and you get 2 scores behind and have to be something that you're not, it's going to put you in a bind.
That's right, because this is just the flow of the game. A good passing attack, you can score fast. A good running attack, even with Braxton, just take Braxton, we got that line that's going to open up some holes.
Even with that,
he doesn't have the breakaway speed, and we know this. He's got the just pure running back ability where he can cut left and right and do all those good things so well.
Now I don't know about that either, Rusty.
I'm not saying he
don't got the breakaway
I'm not
speed.
saying he don't.
He was an ankle tackle away a few times the night from breaking another 60-yard
You're right.
run.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying he's not no 4.5, 4.40 runner. Is what I'm saying.
No, but the kid still got the speed to go 60 on a play.
Against the team, I'll give you credit on that, Paul. He probably does if we're playing a Red Boiling or somebody like this. When you're playing Smith County,
he had at least one 40-yard run.
I understand this. That's what I'm saying. That play still. If you'll just sit there a second, let me explain this. He did not go for a touchdown when in most cases he would have. You're playing Smith County that's got that number 6 and number 3. Those guys could fly. And essentially, those were the people getting the ankles. You see what I'm saying? So, to be able to have that breakaway speed in that game the other night, you're not going to break too many of them runs. You're not going to break it every play. Whereas Smith County, on the other hand, those receivers are going to get behind the secondary, and they've proved that in the first 2 games. They're going to get behind the secondary regardless if they're going for the deep ball. That's all there is to it. I don't think there's going to be many teams around here that's going to be able to keep them from scoring if they hit that deep pass.
Outside of maybe in the 3rd round of the playoffs or something when they play maybe an Alcoa that's got the speed.
Yeah, the flow of the game is totally different. Like I say, even if you do break an 80-yard run as a running back,
they could essentially make it up 2 scores just throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pace of it is my point that I'm trying to make. And as far as you take running backs over the years, we've had like Ryan George.
Right.
That kid got the edge. There was nobody on the field going to catch him.
No, I mean, these 80-yard runs for him were going to be like 60-yard touchdowns because he just needed a crack hole.
His running and Braxton's running are 2 different style of tailbacks. Does that make sense?
I do understand because he's more
he was your speed back
guy, and George was just going to take off and run.
George would run you over too,
but he was more your speed guy.
When he hit the edge,
way on any play.
Yeah, I mean he could get to the corner so fast it was just unbelievable. And once
he got there, he's gone.
There's not many people on the field going to catch him. Braxton, on the other hand, you take a good quick safety that's got a little bit of speed and he can catch him. I'm not taking anything away from the kid because he's one heck of a running back. And I love his style of running. And I don't think we've ever had a running back in years that I remember seeing that had that style of and ability to be able to make those cuts and read those holes like he can. I mean, he's got just instinct.
He's got a burst first step, and he's done 10 yards through that hole before you know what's hit you.
Essentially, Braxton, to me, if I were building a dream team, he would probably be one of my tailbacks, but he is more of a running style of a good quick fullback. You know what I'm saying? Like just that burst of speed like you're talking about. I played with a kid that you could outrun him. I don't know, if you had to go 20 yards, you were going to smoke him. but you couldn't beat him the first 5. That's just, he had such explosion taking off, and then that was it. He was all in the racing world, that's called torque. He had a lot of torque, but no top end. He couldn't really get it stretched out and going. And essentially, I think Braxton is a median between a lot of torque and a lot of top end. You see, he's kind of like a median. He's not really, really fast, but he's got a lot of speed coming off the line.
But my opinion, you will see on some of these games we got coming up. You might see some of these 60-yarders.
He's going to break more runs. Coming up, you'll see that he's going to break some more. I promise you.
And there'll be some 40, 50, 60-yard runs, won't they?
Yeah, possibly more than that. I mean, the kid.
Do you think there's a chance that the kid, might be on the 5-yard line? He might break a 95-yarder.
He could break it if he was on the 1. I think he's got a chance to get against some of these teams. But like I said, you take Smith County playing them, and they got speed. I mean, they had some speed. So breaking that ball. Breaking a long run against them is 40 to 50 yards and getting run down or getting shoestring tackled, because like you said, if they missed one of those, he's in the end zone.
Well, let me ask you this: with these games we got coming up, how long you leave Braxton in the game? Because you can leave a kid in a game a little too long, get him hurt if you're not careful.
I agree with that.
How long you leave him in the game?
I think when you got the kid, how many yards did he have last year? 1,600, right at it.
About 1560, 1660.
No, he had like 1590. He had 1590 something, almost 1,600 yards. So you take a kid like that's got 1,600. Of course, you want him to do the best he can, and you can't. I'm not one of these that believes in coddling them.
Believes in what?
Like coddling. Like rocking the baby. You know what I'm saying? Don't take him out just because you think he's gonna get hurt, or you got to keep the kid healthy, no doubt. But the kid's tough. Trust me, the kid is tough. He's tougher. He's as tough as him on that football field.
And he'd take the ball 50 times.
If you give it to, he's that hard nosed of a kid. If you give it to him every play, he'd run it. I promise you. That's just that kid wants the football. So you got to get that kid to football.
And that's what you like to see as fans.
If you can give him
durable enough to take the ball and run.
If you can give him 20 to 25 yards to carry, how many yards do you think he could get on that? He was looking at Smith County the other night. I don't know how many carries he had. That's beside the point. But, you take somebody and you put, just say like our opponent coming up, Red Boiling. You put them across from him, and he's done at halftime. And
that's good enough, because, we should have a good enough lead where we can put
That's just the opinion, but I'm just saying he's done at halftime because he's got 8 to 10 yards to carry. If you carry it 20 times, it's close to 200 yards. That's plenty. You know what I'm saying?
Just give him a 9 off or half 9 off, right?
Yeah, give your older players a break. And that becomes more valuable when you get down the road and you start talking playoffs.
Maybe build yourself a 35-0 lead, maybe, and let them take the 9 off the rest of the way, and let the young kids play some.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a football coach. I've been around the game a lot, and I understand, a lot of things. But most of the time, them coaches, so you do see some coaches take it to extreme, wanting to get stats and all this. You want to make sure you got a good, healthy lead that they're not going to come back on, and gauge how well they are, how well their starters would be against your second string, and make sure that you've got a good, safe lead.
Because you don't want to lose.
That's right. So
35 points should be enough to do that with.
You'd think. But anyway, we had a good week against Smith County.
Right.
Even though we lost, I still think it was a positive. We saw what we're made of, saw what we're capable of, and it's just going out and doing it from here on out. And then I think we could the only other hurdle that I see coming up would be next week at Trousdale. They have a good football team, I've heard. And for the most part, in our region, I think Joe Burns is that hurdle. Just looking back at some of the scores and stats and things.
And of course, we can't really undertake Salina either, because they're winning.
You're right. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just saying.
Team we might have to be prepared for.
We expect to beat anybody in our region. I expect to beat them. That's all there is to it.
But you think the toughest team that we're going to see, though, out of that region might be Joe Burns?
Would be Joe Burns. I think that's the one. That's our competition, and I think that's who's going to set the bar for the others. And
until somebody steps up and proves you otherwise.
That's right. Just from what I've gathered and looking at scores and who's played who, I really think that.
But we don't know anything about Republic, so we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Not going to be a cakewalk to the playoffs. So you got to get some wins going and get some confidence built, and then they'll start stringing together.
So how many of the teams out of each region get to go to the playoffs?
I think it's 4?
So we got how many teams we got in our region now? 6, or we got 5?
5, 6, I don't know, 7.
So practically 6. All our teams in our region is going to get a shot at the playoffs, just about.
Well, it did. When you look at that, Paul, I'm not really talking about playoffs right now.
No, but we'll just briefly discuss it just for a second.
Yeah, for 30 minutes.
No.
We'll go 30 minutes on this.
No, we're just going to briefly
The playoffs works like this. The first team in the region gets to play what?
The 4th seed?
The worst team in the other region, and which really is hardly ever a football game when you really look at it. So essentially, winning your region is the best option for an easier route through the playoffs. And if I'm not mistaken, this may be the year, it may be next year, I'm thinking that we could get home field for most of the playoffs with the first, if we win first in our region, if that makes sense. So, and sometimes it falls like that. That, hey, this next year it'll be the other side and flip. So, anyway. Enough of that. The playoffs are coming down the road. We got to win some region games first. And you can't overlook Red Boiling by any means. Or any team for that matter. Because if football were played on paper,
then you'd win a lot of games.
You'd win a lot of games. Or we would essentially lose a game coming up here Friday night. And I'm going to have Paul tell you about that in just a minute, right after this commercial break. And we'll be right back.
All right. Once again, this is Paul Martin for the Uncle BS Research Statistical Group. And this week, Uncle BS comes to us telling us a little bit about Red Boiling Springs. He says that Red Boiling Springs used to be called Salt Lick Creek up until 1847, and Jesse Jones changed the name to Red Boiling Springs. And you're probably wondering how they got the name Red Boiling Springs. Well, an old farmer named Jesse Jones in 1847 noticed that he had red sulfur water flowing out of his springs on his farm, and he decided to rename Salt Lick Creek Red Boiling Springs. And Daniel Boone once hunted wild animals there, so if you're ever in Red Boiling Springs and you hear a loud noise, watch out, it could be a bear. Between 1986 and 1993, in case some of y'all might not know, Red Boiling had the Tennessee's longest losing streak in Tennessee, and that was at 63 games in a row that they lost. And Uncle BS predicts that Friday night will be no different, as Gordonsville will win this game 42-8.
All right, welcome back to In the Huddle. Hut. All right, we're back. We're going to talk some Red Boiling Springs, Gordonsville football. Paul, where's this game to be played at?
At Turney Ford Field.
At Turney Ford Field. Well, Paul, right now, Friday night predictions are heavy rain. Do you have a raincoat?
No.
You got any rubber boots?
No.
Have you got any umbrellas?
No.
Well, Paul, this could be an ugly week for you. You're going to be drowned if the game's held on Friday night still, and we are expecting a gully washer.
Yeah, and a drowning is not exactly my cup of tea, because I done got drowned a few weeks back, and I drowned in my pants, drowned in my shirt, and man, it wasn't pretty. And I was trying to go to the store.
Well, we got a gully washer coming. A lot of rain in a short period of time.
Is there any way we can avoid this by playing it on a different night?
I think Thursday night I looked at the radar and the weather predictions, which is hard to predict these things. You don't know how fast or slow they're going to move, because that hurricane was moving quick and it come in and it just stalled out. And then it started moving again and it circled right back where it was at. And then they're just funny things. And funny things happen with the weather. And they got a pretty good grasp on what it's going to do, but not perfect. So Saturday night looked like the best night if you're going to play a football game. possibly to go ahead and get it in. Just wait till Saturday if you don't want to play in the rain. It don't bother me to play in the rain. That's football. But I understand people don't want to tear their field up and things like that because they put a lot of money in these football fields. As far as I'm concerned, the most fun I ever had was playing football on a Friday night against Westmoreland in a hurricane. Essentially, that's what it was. It was a hurricane that come through, and it's downgraded to tropical storm and then downgraded to just rain. But we played in it, and
we actually played Monterey one year when I was playing.
It came a monsoon during that game. And, man, it was a lot of fun, though. But I think maybe rain or whatever, I think I'm still going to pick Gordonsville to win Friday night against Red Boiling because, first off, they've never beaten us. And you said you looked up some stats on paper. If the game were played on paper, we were just talking about this. We didn't look them up. We thought them up. How many points a game is Red Boiling Springs averaging?
All right, Red Boiling is averaging 13 points per game.
All right. How many points per game are we averaging?
We are averaging 12.5 points per game.
12.5, so we're beat. 13 to 12.5.
Yeah.
All right.
Defensively, Red Boiling is giving up 17 points a game. And defensively, we're giving up 33.5 a game.
There you go.
So if this was played on paper, the Bulldogs would probably be your winner.
The Bulldogs would come out on top. And thankfully, the football is not played on paper.
Amen.
It's played on green grass and maybe wet grass this Friday night.
Yeah. But turnovers, if you got a wet ball, turnovers will play a big role. And we seen that yesterday in the B team game because the ball was slipping around like a hot
It was
potato.
flopping around everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, with Red Boiling coming up and potential rain, just stay tuned to Facebook or whatever social media you have, just in case they change the game because it is possible. Because there is expected to be some hurricane action coming through here around that time frame.
Now, you and I, we looked at Huddle earlier, and we seen Red Boiling, a little film on Red Boiling, and from what I seen, they almost got a punt block. So I think we could actually possibly block a punt on these guys. And another thing too,
in the rain, it's going to be hard to get traction to take off block a punt. And here's my theory: if we're winning the football game, which I expect to do, to have the lead, there's no point in going after a punt.
You actually, if we're playing in the rain, you actually may see them let it go and see the ball actually snow dive right in the middle of the mud.
Can't ever tell. But Paul, I plan to be there, rain, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to that football game.
But that's going to really affect the punting game, though. Punter's probably not going to have an easy time punting in that kind of weather, is he?
The kicking, throwing game, all that, is going to be into effect. Now, the one thing that scares me, we played Moore County back in a scrimmage late in the fall, right before season.
And they run the same kind of offense.
They run the wing tee.
The wing tee.
And, essentially I think they're better at running the wing tee than Red Boiling. But still, the wing tee is one of those offenses that it can be tricky to stop if you're unprepared. So they need to go out and have a good week of practice.
What about returning kicks? Do you think is it easy to return kicks in a rainy day?
No, I don't think it's easy to return kicks on any day. That's just the way it is.
You just don't expect us to return a kick for a touchdown.
Your prediction, I hope it comes true. I really do. I'd like to see a good kickoff return for 6.
But you're not sure it will in a nasty rainy weather.
Not sure it will. But that's part of it. You
though.
see a lot of short kicks. That ball, them leather balls are going to get heavy. They soak in the water, and they're going to be heavy and wet.
And it's going to be slipping and sliding.
That's right. And that's part of football in the rainy day. On a good rainy day. But
like
I said,
it's raining, it's going to affect everything. Though.
I'd love to see a good rainy game. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be fun.
Could this possibly, if it's rain soaked in, could this be one of your possible 12-6 games?
Hey, it scares me. It scares me in the rain because sometimes things don't always go your way in the rain.
And we could see a low scoring 6-0, 12-6 kind of game.
Yeah, just like I said, we played Westmoreland and we went to 3 overtimes to determine a winner because neither one of us could stand up. And that's essentially what happened. Neither one of us could hold on to the football. I can't tell how many turnovers we had. But we would turn it over, and they'd turn it over, and that's just the way it is. That ball's hard to hold on to. So when you look at that, it could go in Red Boiling's favor just as well as it could ours or anyway.
And they are known for water. They're known for those hot springs.
Hey, they may practice up there at the Nestle plant, in the rain.
They may actually
know.
They may actually get the springs and spring it out on their field and practice putting the ball in it. And they may actually be something we don't know. They may be used to slick balls.
It could work against us, so we might want to watch out.
So if they're used to slick balls, we might be the underdog. Don't know it.
You never want slick balls.
No, you don't.
But anyway, I expect to win. On paper, we're getting beat. Right.
And you got to keep, even though you're playing a team like this, you got to keep your effort up. You can't give them momentum, and you can't give them reason to cheer, and you can't give their 25 fans a reason to holler.
That's right. So right now, Friday night, 7:00 kickoff. Turning Ford Field.
But it could be subject to change, like we say.
To be determined. You never know, really, because like I said, it could change. Some schools do that, and some don't. But as of right now, plan to go to the game. Bring your popcorn. It's gonna be a show.
Right. Bring your popcorn.
And if it's in the rain, it's gonna be a wet show. So bring an umbrella for your popcorn. If you'll get one of those little things, the little umbrellas they put in some of them little mixed drinks, put that over your popcorn. Just keep it dry, and you'll be all right. But anyway, from what we've seen at Red Boiling, they had a couple of athletes. The 22 played fullback, right?
Will the ball game be canceled if there's lightning in the area?
Lightning, yes. But I think this is more rain than it is storms and lightning that they're predicting. So,
can they call it an official game if lightning's in the area and they've done played maybe a couple quarters?
No. Football games, from what I understand, they have to finish.
So
and I have seen games
canceled if it's lightning and they don't never play it.
I have heard of games going over to the next day, continuing on Saturday where they left off. Everything is documented and
because of lightning in the area.
Because of lightning, they come back the next day and set a time and finish it. So,
but that could be a possibility if it happens that way.
Yes, as far as I know, yes.
We don't have a shelter area there at the stadium in case we.
Have you ever seen a shelter area?
No.
No. Then how many times have you been to Turning Ford Field?
Several.
Several.
I've never seen a shelter area.
Well, there you go.
So none of that.
So anyway, when you look at it on paper, we're beat. Paul says that we're beat on paper.
We are.
But we're going to win on the scoreboard.
We are.
And
I'm going to predict it to be about.
It's hard to predict with
40,
this rain.
I'll say about, considering we're going to have some rain, I'll say 21 to, wait a minute, probably not 21 because extra points will be difficult. I'll say we get one extra point, so I'll say 19 to 8. 19 to 8 going
19 to 8.
In the rain.
I'm going to predict about 34 to nothing. That's what I'm going to predict.
In the rain?
In the rain. In the dry, probably a little worse. It's just my opinion.
19 to 8. And Uncle BS says 42 to 8.
Yeah.
And you say 30.
Uncle BS didn't take into account the weather earlier.
No, but he might be dead on, though.
He might be. You never know. But anyway, Red Boiling had a good little fullback.
Yeah, number 22 is a good-looking athlete. The quarterback runs pretty good, and so they got some athletes.
Throwing the ball, I didn't see too much of them throwing it. They did throw it, and it just wasn't
very
wasn't great. Wasn't the accuracy wasn't there, which is typical of a lot of 1A football teams.
And they seem to be struggling blocking pretty much. But they can make some plays if you overlook them.
Yeah, they're 1-1 on season. Already got a win, so that it used to be when Red Boiling came to town, you didn't want them to break the streak on you because they went. I know they went 6 whole seasons without winning a game, and I think they've done that twice. I think they went from 86 to 93, and then right after that, they started another losing streak and went 61 more games, maybe.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. They've done it twice, where they went 0-63 and then 0-61, and it was just Shoulders, I think, that's when he took over. They were 0-61. They hadn't won a game in 10 seasons.
All right, but anyway, they broke.
Or 6 seasons. I said 10. 6
they
seasons.
broke their drought against Oakdale.
Yeah. And so the streak is continuing because they lost last week to Salina.
Yeah, Salina. 34-12.
So their streak is at 1, and we can extend that to 2.
Right.
And anyway, we're going to try to keep that streak going and start them a new one.
And get on
right,
and we're going to try to get our first win on the board. And this is a big region game, so it's very important that we do get that win on the scoreboard.
But again, here's another thing that you got to look at when you play these games. And I know it may be wet and sloppy or whatever, and you want to be injury free. And typically in a red bowling game, and this is when I was a sophomore and junior, I would prepare myself that week to be able to play. And as a younger guy, because we always knew we were going to get some reps when we played red bowling, and that's the way we seen it. So you always have to be prepared, no matter what. If you're underclassmen, but especially on red bowling week, you need to be prepared. Just like Salina last year, we got a big lead and put our second string in, had the longest touchdown of the season. You remember that?
Yeah, McKinley had a 95-yarder.
95-yard touchdown pass by the B team. So those kids, you be prepared and expect to play Friday night, expect to get in the game. And if you don't, tip your hat to Red Bowling, for playing a good football game.
And let's also add that Red Bowling has 12 kids. So if they get 2 kids hurt, it'll be a forfeit.
Here a few years ago, Coach Shoulders was down at Gordonsville standing on the hill. And, I talked to him there a pretty good while before that game ever started. It was during a playoff game. And he told me the biggest problem that Red Bowling had was their summer workout program, that was non-existent when he showed up. And even then, they had kids that thought they could just skip practice because it was, I guess, a tradition to just not show up at practice and then come back out in the fall. So during the summer, they may have had 12 players on the roster, but during the fall, they'll always seem to double up, more kids coming back out. So according to the guru, they only had 12 players. But this fall, I'd be willing to bet that Friday night, and I don't know, that they'll have more than that. Because he explained that was just how they run things in Red Bowling. And that's probably why they hit the 0-61 streak. Because if you don't put in the work, and these kids up here may not understand it, that summer workout program is designed to make you a better football team and keep you in shape to play. And that's what wins football games. And that is proof when you look right up at Red Boiling Springs and you see them having those 0-60 streaks and with no summer workout program. And he said that was something he started. And his best athlete, they won a couple games there. They started off when he first come up there. They won a few games in a row. Started off first time, I think 3 or 4-0 in a long time that they ever done it, maybe. But that those kids have to understand that those summer workouts win football games. That's why you go work in the summer. And I think Shoulders now is at Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. He's down there with Jackson and Cowan and Creasy, yeah, in Oakland. And
Oakland's got a good team too.
Yeah, they do. We have a bye week coming up before long, and it's the Oakland Blackman.
And you're tempted to go to that game?
I'm going to that game. I promise Rusty Burton will be at that game.
It's during our bye week.
It's during our bye week. That's going to be one of the best games in the state this season.
Oakland
it should
Blackman?
Be. Oakland Blackman. So clear your schedule for that night. If you have plans to go out and eat and not attend a football game, go to Oakland Blackman because it's going to be a good ball game. But anyway, Paul, looking at Red Bowling, we was just discussing the summer workout program. Our junior high now has a summer workout program.
Really?
Yeah, they have a summer workout program in junior high. And it carries over to Tuesday and Thursday nights when they play their football games. You can see it. And Coach Petty started that here a few years ago. And
for those that might not know what the summer workout program is, explain that to us, how that works, so people know what you're talking about.
The kids go up and they run. They lift weights. They work out all summer long, and they lift weights. And they do this 3 days a week. All right. And essentially, you could get a total of 3 weeks off. So the TSSAA mandates that there's a 2-week dead period. There's 14 days where student athletes can't do anything with the team. Now, if you want to go out and run a mile on your own, run down your road, run a couple miles, and do you some push-ups and sit-ups, or if you got your own weight at home, that's fine. You can do that. And a lot of schools, I promise, encourage that. And
it'll help you if you do on your own time.
That's right.
And not just lay on the couch and play.
That's how you earn a starting position on Friday night, is by doing the extra that nobody else is willing to do. Now, they do this 3 days a week up until after the dead period. Then they start going 5 days a week. And then not long after that is you're in pads and you come out now. They got you 3 days. You can only go out in helmet and shoulder pads, and you got to wear shorts, not full contact.
So that's the way it is during the season now. They got Monday through Wednesday they can hit and all that, and then Thursday and Friday they just gotta walk through and then go to the game.
No, that's the way it is now. During the regular season, they practice 3 days a week, 2 or 3 hours a day, and then they go to Thursday walk through and
then go eat.
Friday they'll watch some film in the game in the room or whatever. They'll do whatever they want to do in the locker room, and then go eat and be back for the game. Time for the bus to leave, or in time to get dressed to play on Friday night. But during the summer, they give them 3 days. Coach Marshall gives you 3 days off. You can take 3 days off. So that means with those 3 days, if your family goes on vacation on Monday and you miss practice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that's your 3 days. You got a whole week off. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, you could get 3 weeks off and not have to make it up. But you make up anything over that. So I think they're pretty lenient in that fact. But the summer workout program is, and we did it back when I played football. That's years ago. It's been in existence for a long time. And when I heard Shoulders explain to me back then, this is 2009 or 10, explaining that they didn't have a summer workout program. I was shocked. I thought every high school football team did that. And obviously, it reflects. I knew right then it reflects on Friday night.
And that's the reason they were 0-63, 61, whatever.
That's right. I mean, you don't put the work in, you don't win. And that's the way it is.
But when they finally put their work in and their summer workout, they broke the streak and they won some games and they got the reward.
That's right. I think we've probably, Red Boiling is probably about as boring of an episode as we're going to have here, Paul. And we're going to do something to get this thing jumped off.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back. We've talked junior high football, how they got a game coming up next Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Who they be playing? Watertown.
Yeah.
At home, up here at Gordonsville.
Yeah.
Turney Ford Field. 6 o'clock kickoff, 6:30, 6 o'clock.
6:30 maybe.
I'm not sure. High school game coming up this Friday night against Red Boiling, pending the weather.
Right.
Their JV played well yesterday at Carthage.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to Red Boiling, although it's nothing ever, you don't get excited about it a whole lot. It's Red Boiling. And
I mean, and maybe
it's hard to get yourself built up for that.
I mean, maybe in years to come, that might be a game where we might get ourselves pumped up over it when they show us some skill and athleticism and give us reason to. But like you say, traditionally, that's a game where the young people better be ready to play as a rule.
That's right. Well, right now, I'm going to come up and we're going to discuss something, Paul, and maybe get this episode kicked into high gear, so to speak. Sunday morning, I get a text at, I don't know, I think it's 9:04.
Yep.
And it's Paul Martin, and he is panicked.
I have.
And Paul had to be pacing out in front of his house because actually it was originally 3 chicks, hot chicks, going to come pick you up and take you to a football game to see the Titans Bears.
It was supposed to be three chicks first, and then when we got to Lebanon,
they picked you up. Listen, let's just go through the whole story here. 9:04, you're panicked.
Right, I've done panicked because the original start time that they were supposed to pick me up was 9 o'clock, and of course, anybody knows old Paul Martin.
You better be on time.
Anybody knows old Paul Martin knows that he's not one that likes to. He's not one that likes.
He's not going to run late. You don't run late with Paul.
He don't like to run late. If you tell him 9 o'clock at 8:30, he's going to be out there at his yard pacing, ready to go.
I could call Paul here. I'll say, Paul, listen, I'm going to pick you up at 10 minutes. And
he's out there in the driveway waiting on me to get there.
He's counting the time. And if it's 11 minutes, you're in trouble. That's just Paul Martin.
Yeah, and he was a lot
so
like
I've
his
learned,
dad. I mean, if he's going to a job, me and my dad, when we used to work over at Dana, I'll just share you a story. When we used to work over at Dana, we had to be there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We got there every day at 2:30, so we were 30 minutes early.
There you go. Always be early.
We wasn't believing in this late stuff.
That's right.
Of course, if you tell Mighty Martin 9 o'clock, he's gonna be waiting on you. If you ain't there by 9 o'clock, about 15 minutes after, he's gonna be out in the notion of walking to your house.
I start getting more texts, and I can just tell you can't really get the tone of voice from a text message, but I could tell Paul was panicked. At 9:19, he's texted me, they still ain't here, nervous, right?
Yeah.
He's tore up, thinking they've left. Maybe they've left me.
Yep.
Thinking he got left. And then about 9:25, two of the prettiest chicks in the county roll up, Ashley and Haley.
Haley, yeah.
They pick you up. Did they let you ride up front right then, or?
No, I got to ride up front after we got to Lebanon or something.
After you got to Lebanon.
Up to Nashville.
And then they met up with two other hot chicks.
Yeah, we went to Cumberland and we picked up Charlie
Vaden and Marlena.
And Marlena, we picked her up at Outback Steakhouse or something.
So there you go. Y'all went all over the world picking up people.
So we, because we had 5 tickets. Kenny, thank you, Kenny, for the tickets. I'm very thankful for it.
There you go.
But we had 5 tickets.
You've been jacked up about that trip for 3 weeks, and that's all you've talked about since.
Yeah, and I'm still jacked up, to be honest with you, and it's over. But
they get to the stadium, of course. Paul texted me. They got there just a little bit late. When it was you a little late?
Yeah, we probably got to our seat about 12:30, late in the first quarter.
But the Bears had the lead.
Quarter, and the Bears at this point was already up 9-0. So,
did you give them a fist pump? Well, did you have? I mean, I can tell in the picture here.
I didn't really give a fist pump. But
let's see. Marlena has on Titans gear. There's Ashley with her Titans gear.
Haley's
got Titans
and
gear, and so does Charlie. And
Paul
Paul is in.
Just got old vest on.
You look like you're in a. Like a safari shirt, like Jeff Corwin, like you're about to go pet some animals, some zoo animals.
well,
I mean,
if you think about it,
bear shirt.
Well, if you think about it, I was going on a safari. You might say a safari a safari with some wild animals.
Some wild animals. There you go, Paul.
so old Mighty Martin was coming prepared for a safari.
Mighty Martin.
But anyhow, yeah, we went and we got there a little late, and I was still jacked up.
He's still smiling from ear to ear,
and I'm still happy just thinking about it, and still waiting on my poster.
Paul's wanting a poster of that picture I just had up, with the beautiful skyline of Nashville.
How about y'all? Let's get y'all's comments. Let's sign a petition, whatever. You girls, y'all want a poster too for y'all's wall?
I bet they do.
Because this is kind of going to be a memorable experience, and y'all ain't never laughed so hard in your life, I'm sure.
So Paul had a big time at the game, and then guess what? They surprised him. They surprised Mr. Chad Hunter.
That's right. And we on the way back. After we dropped Charlie and Marlene off, we decided to go visit my hero, and this was my idea because I hadn't seen the guy in a long time. And I said, you know what? I found out, of course, that Ashley has a job watching Chad like 3 days a week. I said, you know what? I ain't seen him in a while. We go down to his house and pay a visit. So she asked Haley, and Haley said, I don't care. So we get in the car. And we head down to Chad Hunter's place, and Rusty will have that picture for you here in just a second.
I got it posted up here.
But
you in your safari shirt, and of course Chad's in his big Florida State gear.
Yeah, Chad was
Chad
was in the bed that night because he'd been up all day and everything.
Yeah.
But he's smiling ear to ear. He's glad to see me. Chad's a big fan of her in the Huddle show too. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Ashley, for allowing him to watch it because he's just as much involved in Gordonsville football now as he was the day that he had his accident.
Oh yeah,
but
he was a good football player, and just he's been an inspiration to a lot of people.
He's my hero, and I told him the other day. I said, Chad, I said, I can't wait to do your run in November, and I'm gonna make sure I do that, and. Of course, that made his smile get a little bigger.
Because you're probably going to walk, right?
Yeah, I'm probably going to walk, but
What's the time you got to beat?
I've got to beat a 46:18, which
46 minutes.
in 93rd place.
93rd place. We're going to beat that this year.
And if I do that, Jay Slatton, I know you're going to be watching. Jay, you promised me now. You said if you beat that 46:18 in 93rd place, I'll make you another plaque. So, Jay.
This year, he wants the poster and the plaque. Right?
What?
The poster, the picture, if he does good in the walk.
Yeah, somebody come snap a picture of me and give me a picture.
No, you got the picture of the 4 chicks.
Okay, that'll work. The poster.
He's wanting this poster bad. That's all I've heard about. How big do you want this poster?
I want it big enough to fit on a wall.
Like, how big's your wall?
I don't know. Just make it
8, 10
30 foot or something.
30 foot? That's bigger than this wall.
Well, no, I don't know. Just
this is 16. That wall is 16 foot. So.
Well, that'll work. Just a poster of me and the girls.
16-foot poster. He wants a fat head.
But anyway, Jay, you told me if I beat the 46:18 in 93rd place, you'd make me a new plaque, and so I'm gonna try my best to do that for you, and hopefully there'll be some photographers.
I'm gonna have to grab one thing right here.
Hopefully there'll be some photographers, and speaking of that, last year. Guess who made the Gordonsville annual? Paul Martin and company made the annual.
Paul Martin
for the Chad Hunter walk or run or whatever.
I'll never forget the day
I made the annual.
I opened that up and the annual, and I called old Paul up and I said, "Buddy, you have made the annual."
And that's the first time I've actually made the annual in since I got out of high school. Really.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you become popular, when you make the annual and you ain't even in school no more.
Let's see. I'm trying to get this to pull up here.
But fans, I never see myself as a star though. I just see myself as just Paul being Paul and just humble kind of guy. But since I went on this trip, I think the picture's already got like 103 likes as of this morning, and maybe we'll get it up to 1,000. But if we don't, that's all right too. I'm just. And I had a fan said Paul was on cloud 9. No, I wasn't hardly on cloud 9. I was
cloud 10.
I was just Paul being Paul, and very humbled and glad for the opportunity. And thank you, girls, for taking me with you. Maybe we can do something else and hang out again some other time, because it was a blast for sure.
Maybe they'll get you. Maybe they'll find you something else to get into. You're going to have a class reunion coming up, or you got one of them?
We hadn't got one advertised yet, but it would be nice if we could get somebody to advertise this one and get everybody together. And I've had a few people say if we got one together, they would definitely come. So
yeah,
that'd be big for us.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I can get this thing to flip over.
About Red Boiling, I actually, when we played Red Boiling, they had a dirty football team. They in fact, that was the very game that Chris Rickles got a finger to his eye, and then he went and bit somebody and got kicked out of the game.
He did what?
He went and bit somebody because they poked him in the eye with a finger.
Rickles ain't joking around, is he?
No, but Red Boiling traditionally, when they start losing, they will resort to some dirty tactics. So y'all better watch out for that Friday night. You get to beating these kids, that you might get a finger to the eye.
Might get poked in the eye. I got poked in the eye before. At trials though, and it wasn't fun.
Just don't resort to any dirtiness back and get yourself kicked out
That's right.
this game or next week, because we're better than that. We gotta play with good sportsmanship too. We can't go out there and resort to dirty tactics like they might do.
All right.
But I don't think you'll see that this year if they've only got 12 players, because they can't afford to get their players kicked out.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm pulling a picture up now, Paul. We're talking about fan of the week here. If you go ahead and tell everybody, maybe we already told them who fan of the week was, but go ahead and let them know again.
Our fan of the week this week was Dalton Dillard, which is Amanda and Josh's boy. Good kid. I like him a lot. And then the other fan of the week is Drew Agee once again.
We're going to try to get Drew in on every picture this season, if at all possible. No matter who the fan of the week that You know what I'm saying? We'll just
and the reason for that is because he's
probably our number one fan.
He loves me. I mean, that's just well.
And you love him too, don't you? I mean,
I do. I love our young generation and
the future of Gordonsville football.
Love making role. I mean, love when I'm actually an inspiration to some people. And you'd be surprised. I mean, these kids, they look up to you, and if you say you don't need to be doing that, then they probably gonna see it as they don't need to be doing that.
That's right. Which reminds us that nobody needs to be smoking. Don't be smoking and chewing tobacco.
That's absolutely right. And rumor has it. A boy last week offered Drew a cigarette, and he gave in to temptation and took him a puff. But Drew, if you're listening to this, don't do it. Tell them no and walk away. And
don't be smoking.
If they keep on, you come get me and Rusty, and we'll tell those older folks that's not good leadership.
You tell them to butt out. That's what you tell people. Just butt out.
Don't give in to peer pressure though, because it ain't cool, Drew, and it ain't right, and it ain't something you ought to be doing.
Well, that stuff gets in your lungs, and then you can't run, and then you can't play football.
Right.
You know, it causes you not to be able to breathe real good.
Right, and it ain't cool. I mean, it ain't cool in 7th grade to be doing these things.
That's right. It ain't cool in 10th grade to be doing these things.
It ain't cool when you're older to be doing these
50.
things. But
that's right.
Because I tell you, my dad, that's the reason he got a bad heart today, because he drank himself practically to death when he was a child.
That's right.
And now he has to take a bunch of heart medicine and everything. And so kids...
And
my mom, she's a huffing and a puffing all the time, where she smoked herself to death. So don't be like them.
Well,
just
Paul,
don't do it.
Don't let your mom watch this episode, or she'll ban you from coming over here again.
No, she won't.
And then
I'm setting a good example. So
there you go.
Won't.
So anyway,
that you
don't smoke, and get out to the football game Friday night. Wear your boots, rubber boots, your raincoat, umbrella, whatever you want to bring. You know, just bring it.
Just bring whatever you want to bring,
That's
except
right.
cigarettes. No cigarettes.
And no smoking inside the stadium. Don't do it. Don't do it outside the stadium either.
Right.
But anyway, Paul, I'm going to let you close us out. You want to sing the alma mater again? You want to give out another?
No, I don't want to do that. But anyway, thanks y'all for watching. We'll see you next week when we talk about this Red Boiling game that we played Friday night or whenever, and then we'll get into Trousdale County and them Yellow Jackets. So, in closing, bring your popcorn. It's going to be a show. It might be a wet show, but it's going to be a show, and we'll see you then.
All right, we're out.